Ori and the Blind Forest weaves an emotional narrative throughout its world of demanding platforming challenges. The character and setting interactions pull your guard down and keep it down throughout the tightly built and aesthetically astonishing world of the Blind Forest. For every satisfying gameplay moment, there's an impactful piece of story to match it, both moments equally evocative. Ori and the Blind Forest casts the pleasant light of nuance and invention over the tried and true foundation of a platforming adventure game. The prologue of Ori and the Blind Forest sets an incredible stage that opens up to a world which is vast, compelling, and troubled in just a matter of minutes. As a child of the Spirit Tree, Ori contains some of the light which keeps the ecosystem of the Blind Forest balanced. Estranged from its roots, Ori is raised in a cozy cave, carefree and comfortable, until one day the forest begins to wither and die. Ori's calling is thus to recover the rest of the Spirit Tree's light and return balance to the Blind Forest. I won't go too far into the tale told, as it leverages every possible advantage of the first-hand interactive experience and should be received as such. As a being of light, each piece of light collected enhances Ori in some fashion. Thusly, the player is pursuing progress both on the gameplay end and the narrative end at the same time, so the two never feel disconnected. Each area of the decently sized map features a unique aesthetic, both visually and orally, which distinguishes the player's location and demonstrates the impact of the narrative in real time. The game starts in the central area of the forest, beset on all sides by adventure, as well as danger. From a gameplay perspective, progress means traveling through the central area several times. This allows the player to use abilities earned in other areas to uncover secrets and access new areas. From a narrative perspective, as the forest slowly returns to life, you see how it changes, you see the benefit of the light, and the motives of the villain thus become all the more clouded. That obfuscation of malice is sacred to Ori and the Blind Forest. Your journey is to restore the Spirit Tree, not to defeat evil. So in a world without balance, the question is begged: what evils must exist in the light? I've spent so much time on the narrative because the story isn't just a frame through which to view Ori and the Blind Forest. It shares center stage with some stellar platforming gameplay and is equally important. Ori's character design alone speaks volumes about the gameplay experience to be expected here. Ori is small, nimble, cautious, and that is precisely the sort of platforming that Ori and the Blind Forest aims for and achieves. Mobility is key. Jumps are quick and slightly floaty, but the control is tight and responsive. Control of Ori harmonizes with the lush forest setting, and the environment feels natural despite clearly existing with Ori's handling in mind. The combat is a crafty play on direct and indirect. On your command, Sign, your guide through the Blind Forest, launches small homing projectiles at nearby enemies. Targets are auto-prioritized based on proximity, and while there are more combat-related abilities unlocked throughout the game, you'll mostly rely on these blasts. These attacks can be performed during any other action, meaning drive-by enemy blasting is both common and encouraged. While performing more technically difficult platforming moves, homing blasts allow you to focus on platforming rather than complex combat maneuvers. You're more likely to die from platforming faults than from combat faults. On that note, this game is not an easy one. There are a few insta-kills, and it'll be clear what is and isn't one, but once you've been taught something, it'll be iterated on throughout the game, each time raising the difficulty. Each of the major areas climax in an escape. One-shot, wall of death runs that are easily the most exhilarating and memorable gameplay moments of the game. To help curb the difficulty, there's a progression system featuring numerous upgrades to Ori's basic functions. There's a branch for combat, utility, and exploration, each of which results in tangible gameplay effects, especially towards the end, but they are entirely optional. On top of that, Ori can use energy to place spirit links, or checkpoints, just about anywhere. Ori and the Blind Forest has a vivacious presence and has effortlessly landed amongst the best executed platforming adventure games of all time. That might even be just for the bash ability alone. Bash propels Ori off of projectiles and enemies and is a wonderfully inventive trick that makes for compelling hybrid platforming combat encounters. One of the most impressive feelings Ori brought forth was one of completeness. There's no feeling like it's missing anything, nothing outstays its welcome, and nothing is overplayed. For this reason, diving back into the game a second time, after recovering from the emotional celebration that is the ending of this story, will be a nearly instant process. And that is Ori and the Blind Forest for you. One of my favorite moments from this game is about 20% of the way in after you finish your first major area. as I was saying, they're all punctuated by these escapes. And that area is the Ginso tree. Oh my god. Escaping the Ginso tree, just the moment that you release the light and bring that whole area back to life, and it immediately just rushes water at you, because you're reviving this place. And, the impact of that is very real, because you're literally like, well, I just brought this place back to life, and now life is going to kill me. So you have to immediately escape, and coming out of it, you sort of have a big narrative moment, and that is something that I'll probably remember forever. And if you play this game, I think you might as well. That said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to check out some more videos, I did one on Metroid Fusion, which is also a single-player adventure game, obviously much older, in the vein of this, where you explore and you find stuff. So if you like games like that, and you've never played Metroid before, or you haven't played Fusion before, check out my video on that. And my last video that I did in this format was Helldivers, which is a top-down shooter. It has an incredibly good job of making things stressful but rewarding, something that this game also manages to pull off. So if you like games like that, check out that video as well. Alright everybody, thanks for watching.